Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. This is True Divine 4-4. This is where I put out the daily readings on a daily basis, go figure, for you to help reach your highest potentials, for you to be able to recognize with foresight the energies around you, within you, and within others, and maybe act for your greatness, for your highest potentials with that foresight. So take what resonates as it is general and leave what does not. I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you all listening and supporting and sharing and liking. That really does help. I'm petitioning everybody to ramp that up, because I want to be doing more just chats, live chats, and I can only do that really with the boys on the phone, and I need that 1,000 subscribers to be able to do it. It's the 1,000 subscriber gate that I need to get through, so I'm going to continue to bulldoze my way through that, and with your help I really will achieve it. So this is for the 21st of April 2021. Didn't get a chance to lay out the cards beforehand, so we're just going to go with doing it now. So excuse the shuffling, excuse the wait. I'll try and fill the space and time up with things that will keep your attention. So we've got the Hanging Dragon first, Major Arcana, the Hangman basically, talking about seeing things from a different perspective, really get into grips with the fact of everything being upside down, everything being, all of the systems that we have lived in, all of the beliefs, all of the things that we have been indoctrinated into. There is a real calling right now to shed ourselves from all of it, which seems like, yeah, well, we've already done that a great deal, especially on this channel, especially in this community. But there is so much more ingrained, these programs, and they are programs, they are codes. The Bible being a code to limit us, give us a taste of some of our truths that were stolen and manipulated and distorted, and also limiting us to someone else's story, to another character, to a savior mentality. And that savior mentality is going to come up with the Nine of Wands, asking there for discernment and real discernment, real taking a pause and stopping and thinking, asking yourself the questions of, where is this direction coming from? Am I being prompted by me, by my spirit, by my soul, or am I being prompted by something else, a program, a code that somebody else is putting out there for me? Queen of Swords, to see things with clarity, using your intellect and wisdom, and not being afraid to upset people by that, to be yourself, to be your sovereign and divine self. The Queen of Swords gets on her throne through the battle of the mind and all of the forces outside of that Queen of Swords energy that would seek to manipulate and limit and even trigger that mind, that beautiful wisdom, that consciousness, that air, those words. So be very careful with your words, but don't be so careful that you are not being true to yourself, especially with the divides that are happening within families, within friendship groups, within the communities itself, because of what I brought up in one of my Writing on the Wall videos, the Unmasked. We are seeing that World War II type of mind warfare, psychological warfare, where they set people up to be the unclean. They set a certain section of people to be the unclean. Why? Not because they're unclean, but because they wanted to have the backing of the people to do the most cruel and the most disgusting experiments. Right now, like I've said many times before in my videos, in my Writing on the Wall videos, we are in history repeating itself. And this is what this code, this hijack, has done a long time ago, introducing greatly. It was a breakthrough for whatever this infiltrator is, to bring out the Bible. And so give me the Hanging Dragon, please. Do you want another deck? Okay. So we're seeing now that we're in that, and we are, so we have to be sovereign. We have to be able to be like the Queen of Swords. Yes, she has compassion, but she has the wisdom to know what to cut out and what to leave well alone. and it is difficult. I think we can't, in the spiritual community, Two of Swords on the Hanging Dragon, we can't in the spiritual community get complacent. Complacency has gotten us to where we are at now, and the lack of discernment has gotten us to where we are now, and the implicit trust we have put within these so-called powers that be, within people around us, in our friendship and family circles, that haven't had our greatest interest. Six of Swords, growth on the Nine of Wands. So it's speaking of being brave enough to use your discernment and stand your ground. The Queen of Swords energy stands her ground for sure and speaks her truth, but she does not cast her pearls before swine. And right now a lot of us are losing a lot of energy casting pearls before swine, for the best reasons in the most part, to try and save people from themselves, save people from making decisions that are seemingly non-negotiable once that decision is made, i.e. of the roll up a sleeve, that things are changed, and they are changed seemingly for good, and the ramifications of that are to roll out, and the ramifications are very, very dark. So the Queen of Swords energy is absolutely key. Give me the Queen of Swords, please. I don't want a bunch of them. Okay. Yikes. So what to say? Queen of Swords, please, so I can crack on. Thank you. Five of Cups on the Queen of Swords. So we have the Ace of Swords on the bottom of the deck, seeking true sovereign clarity and being at the point of where you've never been so clear before in the way that you're thinking, in having sovereignty and divinity over your thoughts, having clear, concise thoughts and sticking by them, having clear, concise words and having power behind them. Your words are super powerful all the time, but super powerful right now. And so speak power over yourself, speak power over your reality. Do not be submissive where your thoughts are concerned. When those thoughts creep in that are probably from outside forces one way or the other, when those thoughts creep in to limit your ability to see how powerful and how creative and how beautiful you are, you strike back at those thoughts, acknowledge them, say, yeah, I heard you, but this is me. And be super, super powerful behind your intent with your words, especially if you are helping out, especially with you, if you looked at the blue and yellow magic video that I did, if you're helping me out, if you're helping the collective out by doing your magic, be aware that your words and your thoughts are very, very powerful in that process. Therefore, your intent behind those words are very, very powerful. So use them wisely, but use them nonetheless. We've got on the bottom of the other deck, we have the Four of Coins. So still trying to cling on to the reality that we've been so used to for generations. And that is understandable, but right now it's unacceptable, because actually even the people who have manipulated us into knowing this reality generation after generation, they have decided, because they know about the shifts that the planet is making, that Gaia is making herself, that the poles are making, they know the astrology of everything, so they are actually changing that system. So you clinging on through emotional connections, physical connections, to that which doesn't serve you, to that which doesn't actually work, for you to be able to look past that and see clarity of a different way of being, is difficult, but very, very much needed at the moment in your individual life and on the wider stage, because we are helping them out, those that don't serve us in our individual lives, and we're helping out those so-called powers that be, that want us to fight, to cling on to the system and be good and try and do things that they say to get back to normal, while they are shifting the whole system so they can get ahead of the curve, be ready for what the changes of this realm are occurring right now, and still be in ultimate control. I want to speak out about the hanging dragon. And so think of Odin hanging on the tree. It was a time to contemplate. It was a time to release the forces from the outside, to really innerstand, to walk that inner path and look at things from a different perspective. This is where we do need to see the reality of the situation. And from my knowing, from my psychic being, I've been warning about it for a long time before they even started rolling out all of this, to say that when you're asking, but they wouldn't do that because, you know, they wouldn't want to kill that many people. Yeah, that's the plan. So it's time for us to see a different way. It's time for us to see past the indoctrination of the systems, the indoctrination of those around us, the indoctrination of how life should look, because they are changing that anyway, and they don't mind the amount of death that is going to occur if we do not stop this. And they're putting things in place to do that. We've got the Two of Swords, and so it says that we're blind right now to one advice of this card is to blind yourself from the propaganda. Be aware of it, but be in your own thoughts and make sure you choose whichever path, one or two, at the crossroads that you're at right now in your personal life. Make sure you choose that from your thoughts, not from outside thoughts influencing that. So you see the blindfold over the eyes here. So again, it's very similar to the hanging dragon of needing to remove yourself slightly from the contemplation. Our eyes take in a heck of a lot of information, which is why they use, from the so-called powers that be, from the corporations, a lot of things that trigger the eyes, because we absorb that and then it's in the subconscious. So to take that sight away, to be in a darkened room, to have your eyes shut, to be able to contemplate which path to take on the outside through your thoughts, through your inner path, is super important. This is a pivotal day for a lot of people in their lives, making major decisions that actually serve their greatness rather than their limitations. What else? To see things from a completely different perspective, to be able to have clarity of thought, to be able to open up your mind to how limited we have been in the way that we think, in the way that we think of what is possible, in the way that we think of ourselves, in the way that we are indoctrinated by so many codes, so many programs. So we have got the Nine of Wands next, clarified by the Six of Swords. So the Nine of Wands is, it keeps coming up, you know, there's this stairway upwards, but there's a stop and a pause of discernment with this dragon. Some of you might have been seeing more dragon type entities today, if for sure. That's come up. The Six of Swords, with your discernment, you have a choice to make to reach calmer waters, but it takes you having that discernment and having that bravery to take the step at that crossroads, to take the step over those waters, to be able to carry yourself over those waters. Together they're making a six. What makes the man, I'm hearing? Do not sacrifice your sacred self, your sacred code, your sacred DNA to those that are trying to be practicing gods and practicing goddesses, which are a defamation, a distortion, an abuse, disgusting act of ego when you look at God and goddesses, gods and goddess energies, and you see these beings acting as such and actually changing the code. So there's a lot of you that actually are going to have to make the decision today to move away from family members or close friends, because some have made the choice to attack their own sacred line, their own sacred DNA, their own ancestors through that DNA. And this takes a lot of discernment. It takes a lot of bravery to be able to do that, especially when it involves loved ones. You know, I'm very protective over my loved ones, and I'm glad that I'm not being put in that position, but I feel for those that are being put in that position because it is a very difficult position to be in. Crossroads, crossroads, crossroads keeps coming up. So the Queen of Swords, I mentioned quite a bit of that, but she's clarified by the Five of Cups. So it's not to say that these decisions are easy. It's not to say that today is easy at all. It's not easy to let go of the things that we are mentally and emotionally and passionately connected to. But disconnect we must for our greatness, if that is resonating with you, and to have the wisdom to do so, and to remember who you are, not lose yourself in that, and not lose yourself in the sorrow of that. Yes, acknowledge it, yes, contemplate it, but do not go down the path of staying in that Five of Cups energy where you concentrate on the loss of those connections, of those emotional connections. So I think that's about it for the reading today. I'm going to clarify a tiny wee bit more with the Nine of Wands, because that keeps coming up. Nine of Wands, please. Nine of Wands. Hierophant. So what those with eyes to see and ears to hear, the Hierophant brings the trinity of the knowledge. You see the three tiers of his crown, the three tiers of his staff. It's the esoteric, exoteric, and mesoteric, bringing those layers of knowledge into those who have an inner standing of how to use them and utilize them in this physical sphere. Teaching the hidden truths, the hidden knowledge. A lot of you are coming across these truths and they're just resonating with you. Why? Because your DNA knows them. Your DNA knows them before this hijack happened. It knows the way that we interact with this planet, with this being in itself, how we interact with others. It knows about the divine, the sacred. And so this is where you are making your choices today, hopefully from the most divine place, from the most sovereign place, for your greatness. You cannot save others. You can guide, you can support, but you cannot save others. You cannot, the Hierophant doesn't share this knowledge. It's locked. There's keys there crossed over. Look, it's locked away, because it's not that this energy maybe doesn't want to, but it also has to protect these truths. Because look at what has happened when these truths, and with complacency way back when, we let these truths be taken from us one way or the other when this hijack occurred. Look at the strength and power that these truths, these wisdoms have given these so-called powers that be over us. They are our truths. The way that they are using technology against us, the way that they are using the inner standing of the human being against us, we, having that knowledge, could use that for such greatness. No wonder this place was worth hijacking. To have beings that are so powerful and so able to use the energies around them, to utilize the energies around them, to be in relationship with the elementals around them, with the different beings, then, you know, look at no wonder they wanted some of that. Your energy as well, cover your energy. You know, your energy is another aspect of your divine being in itself. The colors that you put out in your auras, the frequencies that you put out, and the frequencies that you allow in. Be aware that they are, I've talked about it a lot, the frequency attacks, the manipulation of natural frequencies all around us, and this being a part of the roll up a sleeve. You know, I'm going to do a video, but it's been proven again, you know, it's come out again when it said they would use people like remote controls. There's DARPA bragging about this great thing that can save people from COVID because it can read the blood in seconds and let you know whether you are ill or not, even if you have symptoms or not. Yeah, right, that's all you use it for, yeah? So I feel for those soldiers, but at the same time, why were they there? Why were they there? Because these are the types of super soldiers who will take the command because their own inner being is telling them to take the command because they have had these things implanted into them. So they're not going to refuse. They're not going to refuse orders to go against their own people, because their own, a part of them now, a part of them inside of them is telling them to take the order, to do whatever they're being told to do. This is where we need to really start looking with that hanging dragon as to what we are facing here, as to what we have allowed to happen here, and what we are continuing to allow to happen. And this also has an impact on our individual lives. This wisdom, this knowledge, this sovereignty and divinity is no joke. We can't play around talking about it and then degrading it by not being in that Queen of Swords energy and speaking our truths and having dominion over our space. Being the governor of ourselves, you know, the mind, the consciousness governing the being. Then we being the governor as the Queen of Swords energy over ourselves. Because where this is going is exactly where DARPA has already claimed it is. That all of a sudden, we don't just have government mind control sitting in ivory towers. No, they're inside of you. Think about that. So it is serious. We need to be letting go of the indoctrination, the hanging man under there too, with that 8 of Cups again. We need to be able to walk away. We need to be able to have that disconnection from those that have fallen for this spell, because it's going to get a bit crazy. And I think we can turn it around, but I don't think, I don't feel, I don't psychically see that we can turn it around without quite a bit of heartache, both in our personal lives and in our individual lives. So it's for us to start walking our own path. It's for us to find our own bliss. It's for us to find our own happiness. You're living well, you die well. You live like a warrior, you die like a warrior. It has an impact on wherever you go next, how you process yourself here. So that's the reading for the 21st of April, no, the 22nd, sorry, 22nd of April 2021. I appreciate you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, sharing and liking, and of course, most of all, commenting, because I love to hear you and your perspectives on the energies of the day, or anything else for that matter. Feel free to use the comment section to let people know what is going on in your area. Let us speak to each other rather than relying on the spell work, the propaganda, and so we can have a greater insight from people we can trust a heck of a lot more, if not 100%, than the propaganda machines. So I appreciate you all put in the comments there, building up friendships. Friendships are building and blossoming in that comment section, and it's a support network that is building, which is something I've always wanted to do. So this is the embryonic stage of that, and you are all a part of that, and I really appreciate you letting me be a part of that, by being in contact with you all, loving you all, and being able to support you all. Much love, much balance, and of course wholeness. Mwah.